Hey, ladies and gents, this is Wiz here with a review of the Mythic Legion's Illythia, the namesake of the Illythia wave. She is one of the four horsemen of Illythia, and I believe she represents famine. She's a ravenous vampire, and Illythia's brood. Many of whom you can see arrayed behind her have been waiting for her arrival, and they are vampires that do not suck. That is no, they suck, but they don't suck, because that's the Four Horsemen toy design motto is we try not to suck. So let's take a look at exactly how much this vampire figure doesn't suck. She's more than a vampire. She's a god, an evil god. Like I said, that we've had Illythia, and we've been waiting for her for quite a while. That's why I was so excited to get her out of the box this morning. I didn't even eat breakfast. Just rushed down like a kid on Christmas morning and started setting things up because it has been quite a while since she went on pre-order. Then we had COVID. I think this has been one of the most eagerly anticipated figures in the entire line. I'm really looking forward to Poxus, who's coming up too. But Illythia, man, she is beautiful, and she is imposing and evil, and someone you don't want to reckon with. So this is the box. Okay, it's got the beautiful Nate Barch art in the front that we've seen, and then some other art that we've seen in the back that he did most recently. But as you can see, Illythia can float, so she can fly through the air. It's got Illythia back there, and I believe Poxus back here floating as well. So there's supernatural kind of ethereal. No, Poxus is here. And then this would be, I think, Necronominus. So that would be the fourth horseman. But we haven't seen the reveal of Necronominus yet. We have seen Poxus, and he's amazing. So, Nate really captures, Nate Barch, the artist who does the packaging art, really, really captures just that, her evil as she sits about some dark waters during a full moon. We've got her here, and then we've got some other members, the cross cell here. I don't have Baron Voligar the second. I have Baron Voligar the third, but I'm looking forward to getting Baron Voligar the second. So, man, yeah, it's been a while since we've been waiting for her. It's been a while. So I really, really want to savor this, and I want to read you her bio. That's her there on the Illythia's Brood logo, kind of like Jerry West on the NBA logo. So I will put this up close so you can pause it and read it yourself if you like, and skip mine. It says, Illythia, cold and calculating in nature. Illythia is the gracefully lethal personification of the eternal famine which curses her vampiric children. Whereas Illythia's rage is full of fire and fury, Illythia's touch is decidedly icy and silent. After waiting in the shadows, her reunion with her long-lost weapon, the Soul Spiller, has brought the apocalypse closer than ever. And just as Soul Spiller possesses the power to rob its victims of their life force, Illythia stands ready to drain the blood from Mythos itself. So, wow, I mean, what a threat. And the other thing about this is that it's just an incredibly complex figure. I mean, there's a lot going on there. One thing, I got a stand for her because I know she's gonna need it, if not now, eventually, because she's got these forearms coming out of her back, she's got this weapon, she's got all these scales to balance, and the weapons, and a huge headdress, and it's a 1.80 female buck. So I'm guessing that I'm not going to take the risk of standing her without a stand, because eventually I think the ankles aren't going to be able to hold her up. So, but when I'm using it as a stand here, I have the 4 Horsemen stands, but what I'm using as a stand here is actually an IKEA candle holder. And I use that for Artemis Silvercord, because she's got the huge wings, and some of those other figures that are a little bit more difficult to stand, like Zylonia, who's got little hooves and big horns. So that's the one thing I can say that for sure. You're gonna need a stand for this gal, because just of kind of how top heavy she is. But what a spectacularly beautiful sculpt. Incredibly well executed paints. And the soft goods, I believe they collaborated with Jesm on these, are just magnificent. Then we have real chains used on these weapons. Look at this weapon. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe some kind of flail, but we have the sort of iridescent purple paint, and then these scales. So they have sharp spikes on them, and I would imagine she would maybe whip these around and smack people with them. But who knows? It's probably just a magical weapon. The one thing I think could have been improved on this is, I really love what Nate did in the artwork, where there are some like supernatural flames coming up from the scales. So I may try to find some translucent flame-colored plastic and put it there to kind of approximate that. But I'm really looking forward to the game and to seeing how she uses this weapon and what it's all about, whether she spins it around or whether she just sort of magically drains the life force from her victims using these scales. The other thing that makes my imagination run wild is the scales are very sort of evocative of scales of justice, or like the scales that the Egyptian god uses to weigh your soul to see if you're wanting or not, which makes me think that, she's got all these, and she's obviously got the knives, and she's got all these scales. So maybe, it's sort of a evocative of some sort of justice. I can't keep my hands off it. It's just so fun to play with. Look at the chains there. They really hang really nicely. But yeah, sort of like, I think it was Ba'at, the Egyptian god, who would weigh your soul, and if it was lighter than a feather, then you would go into the afterworld, to the good place. And if it wasn't, if it was heavier, then you'd go somewhere else that wasn't so nice. But that sort of kind of spiritual component and significance. This is not an ordinary weapon that an ordinary, warrior would use. So there's that. Let me see if I give you a little bit more of a close up there. So yeah, the two dangly scales, and then kind of like snake heads, right? So that's, one of her hands is occupied with that, but she's got 6 other hands, so she can engage in mayhem and evil doing and whatever it is that she wants to do. Look at how the hands are attached in the back. Really cool. They're skeletal hands, and then 2 of them are sort of splayed out to hold these other 2 scales of justice or of evil or whatever. And then 2 of them are gripping hands where they're used to hold this sort of scythes. It's a scythe, but it can be attached as a double-bladed weapon as well. So it's sort of a convertible type of weapon, and I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. Can be used to point out details on the figure too. I really love how the hair flows down between the forearms, and then it's got also these other 2 ponytails or braids going down on both sides. It's just really neat and nicely executed there. I also love this sort of flowing, I don't know what to call this, kind of a sash that just hangs down, or, you could drape it over your shoulder or do whatever you want, but this is the way I saw it on the promo photos. So it's a wired, and I'm going to take it off so you can see. It's like a wired sash. I think that's what it's called. And it just kind of drapes over there because it's fashionable. Hey, and you want to look good when you're destroying the world. So I'm going to take that off, but it's wired, so it can be posed in all sorts of dramatic poses. And then also really like, this, let's see if I can get that right here. This piece here, because it's got all these other like snake skeleton parts. And then in the front there, it's got a skull. I love that purple, that rich purple paint. And then down here, it's like fingers. It's all flexible so she can move, right? So it's just, she's deadly, obviously, and her outfit kind of shows that. Then her torso is wrapped in that purple fabric, and then she's got a really, really cool necklace here that's kind of mirrors the belt. It's sort of spidery, sort of like the Illythia logo itself. And, that hangs free and is removable as well, although I don't see why you would want to do that. Look at that stern face. Look at that visage and the eyes with no pupils. And then these elegant, like, elf-like ears. And then, this giant sort of bouffant hairdo here made of bones, death, snakes. There is like a crow or a raven head in the front, I believe, and then there's all these snakes. Then there's vertebra, and then up here, if I can get that to focus, is a little skeleton holding scales. So echoing, the motif of her being sort of the harbinger of justice and, I don't know, evil, though, evil. So look at that. Man, we haven't had a headdress like that since Morgulith. I love those giant, like, dramatic headdresses on characters. And it just gives her this, like, really regal, you know, she's wearing a crown. Okay, then this is also soft goods that is also wired, and so is her skirt. So if you want her to be showing some leg, or maybe she's in an action pose, and you know, you can do whatever you want with that. I'm probably just gonna keep it down like that, but she's just lovely. I mean, her proportions, you know, her colors, her skin, you know, the delicate shading. She does not disappoint. We wait a long time for these figures sometimes, but I can say that they just knock them out of the park. The paint, like, on those lips, on the earrings. How do they get it so perfect? I have no idea. And then, you know, the more you look at the figure, the more you notice, you know, kind of these braids topped with, like, maybe snake rattles or something. Just, I think I could just sit here and look at this for hours and just, you know, admire all the details. But Illythia, okay, I'm gonna say this, and this might be sacrilege because Arethyr was so cool, but I think Illythia is my favorite horseman so far. And I think I haven't seen Poxus yet. I've seen this prototype. I think she might even beat Poxus in my book. This would be the one. Would be the one that I would least want to sort of. I would least want to face on the battlefield. Also, of course, perfectly painted toenails. Purple toenails. So, like I said, the more you look at this, the more details you kind of notice. So, man, she is here, and she is kick butt. Congratulations to the 4 Horsemen. I know they're still shipping out her horse, because that's going to be a whole other thing. I think its name is Phobos. So they're shipping the horse out, and I think the bigger packages, like I think there's a moose, and you know, this whole wave is like Illythia versus Xylona. So those are still shipping out, but I wanted to get this review done and up so that you could see her there with all her evil followers, Baron Voligar, Lucretia, Carpathius, you know, the Vampire Knights, and I can't wait to review the others. But I thought about it. I was like, hey, maybe I should build up to Illythia, because some of the other characters aren't gods, and I should do her review last, but I couldn't do it. I was like, wow, I could not hold back. I had to do this one first. All right. Hope you get this figure. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have, and we'll be on to some other reviews as well. All right. Is the Wiz is here. Is the Wiz is out of words, is speechless, which rarely ever happens. But Is the Wiz is signing out.